All right, let's go over the fast facts, the TwitchCon liability nightmare.
TwitchCon did not go well, and we're going to talk about it today on the episode of
Not going well. That's an understatement, bro.
Legal Mindset, where we teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. I'm back after a short break. It's good to be back with you guys, and it's good to have some time for myself. So let's get right into it. We've got, of course, a PP for you today, a nice PowerPoint on the death of Twitch. It's actually several issues.
This is a big PP. Big PP energy.
That are really compounding for Twitch, some of which we've been talking about on this channel for a very long time. So, of course, the main one, the one that everyone's talking about and the kind of main death knell I'm seeing here for Twitch is the Emiru assault. And that is due to the failure or lack of security at TwitchCon. She was denied her own bodyguard. There was an assault. An individual came up and attempted to hug, grab, grope her without any permission, warning, what.
And it really seems like he pulled out a knife, but we can't really tell. The image is kind of low quality. Of course, how it always is. The images are always low quality.
Whatsoever. And that,
like, we have 4K HD and we have 4K zoom in, and it's always still low quality. How about that?
That is a major, major issue, particularly since we know that Twitch has had security issues in the past. Then we had a bunch of bungled mistakes with Chibidoki's meet and greet, in which she was at first denied entry. There's some reports that she was forced to unmask herself in front of certain people in order to identify herself, and then cutting that meet and greet short. So a lot of problems there. Then you've got Hassan, the golden boy of Twitch, under pressure, which once again, while not happening at TwitchCon, happening around the same time as TwitchCon, indeed is not good for Twitch. That's their golden boy. That's Dan Clancy's favorite, and that's an obvious problem for them. And then the last, and one of the most important, is the lack of moderation of Twitch content, which perhaps is the most dangerous.
Oh, no, wait. No, you're wrong, Legal Mindset. There is moderation of Twitch content if you don't support the narrative, if you commit the criminal act of wrongthink. But if you are for terrorism, that's okay. If you are violent and you are a sexual freak, that's fine.
And puts them in a category along with Roblox in terms of potential regulatory action. So let's start with Emiru's claim. So obviously, if you saw in the video, and most people have seen the video.
Dude, I bet the FBI is absolutely losing their shit over this because they've been investigating and things keep happening. Welcome to the club, guys.
You can watch that in my live version, which we go over everything and all the video, all the facts. But if you saw that, you saw that, hey, she had concerns. She has a history of stalkers that have come after her. There's a massive history of security issues at TwitchCon and with Twitch events in general. And
when it comes to their large creators, if they don't completely support the narrative of democratic socialism, that's what they like to label it as, when really it's just degeneracy and lies and evil and manipulation. And if you're not that, then you get nothing.
Therefore, there are several causes of action that she could pursue. First, there's the general negligence.
Asmongold is one of her friends. So, of course, this all happens to her and nothing is done about it.
So that's essentially broad negligence for failure to detain the individual. They just let them walk out. They failed to coordinate with law enforcement. Really, they bungled.
Yeah, like, how did this guy not get arrested immediately?
That overall, but
wasn't there a police presence there? Like, what happened?
Beyond that, there's a more specific negligent security claim. So essentially, the organizer failed to provide adequate measures to prevent the incident. So sufficiently trained personnel, barriers, etc., things they could have done to protect Emiru and the streamer. Of course, they did not do that. And given the fact that
in hindsight, we could have done more. They completely ignored people like Tectone, like Asmongold, like the thousands of other streamers who were saying, hey, there's going to be some problems here. And they kind of listened by saying, oh, we're going to up the police presence. We're going to up the security. It wasn't enough. Obviously.
2019, 2022, 2024, and earlier this year in Rotterdam in 2025, there were significant security issues.
Yeah, and by the way, they basically forced Emiru to do that event, that meet and greet, in order for her to have a show. And that's fucking bullshit.
They should have known. This was not a first off. This is not a first time event. This is not something they should know about. Dan Clancy tried to play this off as, oh, this is just something that happens and it's normal and it's a sign of the times. And, you know, streamers can control their community. That doesn't work. As an organizer, when you put together an event, you have a responsibility for that event to be safe, particularly if there are known risks. And streamers are at risk when they're out there, not just from parasocial fans, but people that might want to hurt them or harm them. That's obviously something that is out there. And then you, of course, have breach of contract. So there may have been safety provisions, and I don't know this. This is my speculation.
Dude, I've been seeing a lot of comments. I've even been getting comments saying, no sympathy for e-girls. And it's just like, what the fuck, dude? I don't even care if you're an actual prostitute. You should not be having violent acts committed against you.
There may have been some provisions in her contract. So if I was her agent, or if I were her himself, I would go to a lawyer and say, hey, look, is there anything in my contract here that was breached? Because it very well may have been something breached in that contract. The last one, though, and I think this one is the most poignant, is the post-incident handling leading to intentional infliction of emotional distress. I think a lot of things, such as them joking about this and, you know, otherwise minimizing it, I think that is absolutely harmful for her, given her history with stalkers. She has a long history with stalkers. It's a known thing for her. And I think failure to do that, inflicting someone with that emotional distress and then taunting them, adding to that fire, definitely makes...
Fire everybody who was doing that, by the way.
They're
viable. Not gonna.
So I think that if she goes to a lawyer, these are all things they should look at and consider. Maybe they don't go with all...
I think she already went to a lawyer, because that statement that she made seems like a lawyer wrote it.
All of them, maybe just go maybe negligent security and IAED, intentional infliction of emotional distress. But these are all things that I think are very viable for Emiru. Let's get into Chibidoki. This is one that was brought up on my VTuber lovers. And this is one where Chibidoki's event, and very beloved VTuber Chibidoki, had an event that was cut short. So not everybody got to see her. And that's because they were concerned about safety because the line was too long. But beyond that, they also botched the event in terms of the wristband. So they gave her a wristband to enter, and they wouldn't actually let her enter. They had to send her over to the desk to get permission to enter. And at that point, some people have reported she had to unmask herself, which, of course, for VTubers...
Yeah, that's absolutely disgusting. Like, yeah, we have to know who you are, even though you're trying to remain anonymous.
Which have a very, very specific
for safety
security
risks
and financial interest in remaining anonymous. Number one, obviously, just like all other streamers, their identity, if they choose to remain anonymous, and put them at risk, put them at massive risk. But beyond that, if you're thinking about these people financially, VTubers financially, a lot of them base their entire strategy, their entire monetary strategy, on not being unmasked. So if they're forcing a VTuber to unmask himself, to reveal himself, that is something that could undercut their actual financial stream, their model, and therefore I think there could be some financial damages there as well. So let's go over Hassan. This is one I really find interesting. So at the exact same time this is happening, I've seen several videos of Hassan kind of hitting his limit, where he's saying, I'm just tired of streaming, nothing's working, you know, no real change is happening. You see him out here with his dog, and he's walking wearing a bulletproof vest with a press label on it, a press chevron on it, walking around a very, very peaceful city. And people are obviously pillorying him for that. I will say this, and I am obviously taking a different route, and you've seen this with a lot of my coverage of, you know, Somali Vitali, where even the people that are my enemies, even the people that don't like me, I still say they deserve a chance, they deserve an option to do good, to be forgiven, to, you know, choose the right path, choose the good path. Even Hassan, I'm willing to look.
Yeah, so many people are giving him an out. I'm giving him an out. Asmongold really gave him an out, and he's not taking it. I hope he does. I hope he comes around and stops supporting terrorism and violence and stops lying and manipulating. I hope he just comes out and becomes a normal person. Really, I think he needs to get out of politics because he's a fucking moron and doesn't actually know what's actually going on. He's surface level and also supports violence.
Past all the defamation that he's done, and say, hey, Hassan, for the best, and I can say this myself, having just taken a streaming break, it's one of the best things I did in my life, to just take a solid break where I just didn't look at the internet for several days. That actually was quite good. And I
also did that. Well, for 2 days.
Things I did do during that time was do some charity work. I actually gave some, we helped somebody prepare food and give it to the less fortunate. I did some donations, helping out the homeless, going to the temples here in Thailand. And once again, I think that's very fulfilling. Hassan's in LA. They got Skid Row down there between, 3rd and 7th, right? Where he could go down there and help the homeless, help people out. If he wants to do something in line with his socialist views, he could go start a community garden. He could go pick up a shovel and start digging and plant some plants. Whatever. I think that would actually do him some good right now rather than streaming and continuing to dig himself deeper, as Collargate is not going anywhere anytime soon. That's going to be going on.
Dude, it just got worse again, by the way. We're about to get into it, man.
For a very, very, very long time. And I think it actually raises some very interesting questions, particularly in regards to, and I do stand by this, of, hey, look, you're putting the shock collar on the dog, put the shock collar on Hassan. Someone actually suggested to me that they do it as an armband or on the dominant hand or on the wrist. So it shocks somebody there if they go to do an action, which would be very, very, very Pavlovian training for somebody who's doing something wrong. But once again, I think Hassan definitely needs to step back for a second as kind of the profile of a spoiled Nepo baby who's never seen anything real. Instead of going out and doing fashion shoots and GQ or whatever else, he needs to go out and actually help people, and maybe he'll be more fulfilled, and maybe he'll actually, go down a better path. But of course, we can only hope, right? We can only hope. Now, let's go here with moderation. This is a big one, and this is one that I'm very interested in, particularly as I think it's heading down the Roblox route, essentially, because with recent tests, which I've seen others run on Twitch, with starting a new channel and trying to stream whatever, including very vile content that would not be acceptable on most other major platforms, stuff that would get you banned immediately. Well, all of that stuff bypassed the filters, all that stuff got on Twitch without any moderation. And the big issue that appears to happen is Twitch appears to lack any automated moderation, relying on manual moderation. The problem with that, with purely manual moderation, particularly if it's not getting the...
People are biased, and they're going to go after people for wrong think and calling whores and fat people fat.
Most vile stuff is, number one, you're letting a lot of stuff that clearly breaks TOS pass. But beyond that, you're actually engaging in discriminatory...
Yep, and then banning Tectone for nothing, banning Asmongold for something that Hassan says, but Asmongold said it about the other side. So, and he was right, by the way, about some cultures being more inferior than others. And he is absolutely correct about that.
Moderation. So some are punished severely, some are punished a very long time. You call somebody fat, you're out for, a month, whatever, right? Whereas others are not punished at all. They're given a pass. This is something that leads to a massive danger for regulatory action, that is states taking action. And especially if this dangerous content is getting out there to people that are minors, which is a massive part of the Twitch ecosystem. So if you look at the Roblox regulatory action, you could see very similar stuff happening on Twitch because they know this is an issue. They very well know this is an issue, and they're just choosing to ignore that. So my conclusions here are Twitch is facing all of these issues at once. And because they're facing all of these issues at once again, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. But this can be the death spiral for Twitch. This could be as they go down. Or
technically, they've been on a death spiral for a long time because they've never been profitable, and it's getting worse, and the sentiment around the platform is getting worse. Also, there's not very many small creators on Twitch compared to the big creators, and that's not good. You have to have the small creators
as they get hit. And what could happen? Well, of course, you also have parent company Amazon, which was just cyber attacked, likely due to their over-reliance on AI by Amazon Web Services. That just happened today, right? You could have a lot of that stuff maybe is going to be automated. Maybe AI is going to take over. Of course, there's problems with that. As you see, without a human link in that chain, it can be kind of sloppy. It can miss things. It can over-regulate. And I think the time is right for lawsuits right now, regulatory action replacement of Twitch leadership, aka Dan Clancy. So
I think it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to sue Twitch. Nobody's sued Twitch or any of the streamers so far for any of this bullshit. And I think it's still going to not happen. Because if you destroy Twitch as one of the biggest creators on Twitch, then you lose your platform and then you got nothing. And it's all about money, man. I like Emiru, but she is one of those people And I just don't see this happening.
I think the time is right for all of these things, and I think we should continue to monitor it very, very closely because
True.
I think there
I
will
will
be
be.
action.
Yep.
Emiru definitely should bring a claim.
I don't see it happening.
Definitely should try something against Twitch.
I
There's
hope.
no reason not to at this point, and there's more than enough basis for her to bring that on one of those causes of action. But
Well, I think the reason that she wouldn't is because she is one of the, if not the largest creator on Twitch. And if she goes after Twitch and she can't be on Twitch anymore, then there goes everything, or at least most of it. She could go to another platform, but she's not going to be near as big.
I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you like the fast facts, if you're glad
I love the fast facts, but I also don't think anything's going to happen. Hopefully it does. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm usually not, though. I've got a link down there in the comments. You should definitely click it. Donate to the Fables Folly Farm. It's not really called that, but, you know, that's what I'm going to call it because I am the one taking the donations for it. It goes directly to the farm. Even though they go to me, it goes to the farm. So you should definitely click that. It helps out so much, man. We're trying to build community here. We're trying to do really cool things here. And yes, I stole that slogan from Nick Nocturnal. So click the link.